Bonjour, Vigets, Mokomana, habari zenu. Hello and welcome to SoulFire Fridays. I'm Webby and I'm glad you made time to watch this. I do this to encourage you so that you're inspired to live intentionally and purposefully. And of course, I do this through music and conversation. We are at the tail end of a reflection around things to leave behind in a new season. Now, the focus point for today is on leaving behind the old excuses. Do you remember the other ones that I mentioned previously? Well, if you're just catching up now, those were the old mindset and the old pattern. Now, of course, there are many others, as this is a really, really broad conversation, but these were key in our reflection for this month. Excuses are those exit doors we use to avoid taking on a challenge, doing something we don't want to, or don't even feel like we can. In other words, when we feel inadequate. Today's episode is actually inspired by some of my own experiences. Sometimes I've delayed doing something I know I should. I know, it's as clear as day. I've hidden behind excuses to mask an insecurity or sometimes fear. All that's done is rob me of the opportunity to see what God can do through, in, or even for me, all because I got too caught up in myself. I tried to rationalize, find the perfect time, feel the perfect way, or have all the resources I needed beforehand, having my ducks all lined up in a row. In hindsight, all I really needed to do was start. Well, I draw encouragement from a scripture that I'd like to share with you today in hopes that it'll encourage you if you find yourself stuck in a rut like I've sometimes been. And it's this: the Lord directs our steps. So why try to understand everything along the way? That's Proverbs chapter 20, verse 24. In the turn of a new season, you can't take the excuses you've previously been making in the last season, because then you can't grow into your next. Simply put, God already determined your story from before you were born, and so He knows how it all pans out. You don't, which is partly why you might be afraid to step out. But this is also the perfect opportunity to take a leap of faith and embrace possibility. You'd be surprised at the outcome. I know I have. Every time I've taken the step of faith into taking on my own challenge, it's turned out to be so much more amazing than I could have imagined. I believe the same will be true for you. And speaking of which, after a long while of making excuses about when a good time would be, I finally took the step to start something that's been on my radar for 2 or so years: podcasting. I finally stepped out and started. Please check it out. The link is in the description of wherever you're watching this. Before I let you go, I thought I'd also mention that I'm working out my next live music performance with some amazing folks, and I'll share details about that pretty soon. It's gonna be exciting. Meanwhile, be safe wherever you are, and don't forget, now more than ever, be love. Auf Wiedersehen.